Got it.
Okay, so there still are people waiting to come in, and let's give them another minute or so if people are still still in line to get in.
Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning.
So I would just say, since we may be having a door prize later on, whoever has the name iPhone on their Zoom connection probably won't get a prize. So I don't know if you can change your name or let me know who you are.
I'll probably say that in the chat if they can't change their name on their device.
That would be good. I'll keep an eye for that.
Well, so Judith, yours just says Judith iPad. We need to know your last name. We don't know everybody's last names.
Okay, it's Smith, but I'm
Okay,
trying to.
that's fine. That's all I need.
Oh, you're one of our DPs. Hello.
Yeah,
Here we go.
I'm still living. I'm probably one of the oldest ones. Maybe Ned's older than I am.
I'm older than God.
Oh, there it is. My God.
Yeah.
Ned's been here for years.
Older than God.
Awesome. Well, as people trickle in, I will try and admit them in as we officially start this meeting. So thank you all for coming. We've got 41 people here today, which is a great turnout for, maybe 42, which is a great turnout for our first meeting, 43 of the year. And I am just excited to have everybody together here. Usually at the beginning of the year, you reflect on the learnings, from previous years. And sorry, we still have people coming in. And I think as we reflect on last year, it was quite a year. We had a year of so many transitions and so many endings. As all of you know, we lost our longtime venues for exhibitions and workshop spaces, which really meant that there was a lot of scrambling behind the scenes. Phone calls, contract writings, how can we still continue to work as an organization when we don't have the normal the normal venues that we normally did. So it was, lots of transitions this last year. We had a almost complete turnover with our board. And I want to take just a moment right now, for those of you who don't know, to honor the passing of our longtime treasurer, Jane Quigg, who gave us 10 very long years of service and a historical perspective that will be greatly missed board and throughout the whole organization.
Oh, no.
We will be memorializing Jane in our coming shows with adding an award after her name. And so we will let her husband and family know about this as well. So for those of you who were not in the last meeting or even attended our last member show, let me just reintroduce our board members again. And we have Ann Knapp, who's the first VP and the international show chair. So she's raising her hand right there. Megan Valdez, who's our second VP, and she is our members show chair. We have Deb Sapita, who is our secretary and is probably the longest standing board member at this point. And then we have Bruce York, who has replaced Jane Quigg as our new treasurer. And I'm not sure if Bruce is on yet or not. And then some additional chair and committee members that were really key. We have Nancy Ging, who's our new webmaster and email coordinator, And she's done an incredible job of coming in at the end of the year last year. And then Denise Page, who's our social media coordinator as well. And there she is. And so this is our kind of our core team. And in fact, we were meeting the other day, and Nancy said, how many times do you actually meet as a board? And we sort of all chuckled because we're meeting a lot. So anyways, it is the efforts of this small group that, you know, continue to make this organization run. And as you know, it's a volunteer position for all of us. And as we go into the year, we still have roles that we're needing, you know, people to sign up for. So as we go through the meeting, I'll let you know.
Bandit.
Yes.
Sorry, Sarah.
Oh, and Sarah, I'm sorry. Yeah, and Sarah Weiser, who is our membership coordinator. And so did I forget anyone at this point? Okay. So we just came down, we just finished our last member show of the year at Shack. And Megan, can you give a quick recap of how that show went?
Yeah, it was an absolutely beautiful show. And if you didn't get out there, Shack Art Center in Everett is a fabulous venue that we were able to display at. We had 62 artists that submitted their work. We had 129 paintings, so it was very large. The top awards went to Kathleen Seacrest, Deborah Henderson, and Deb Sapita. We had 13 sales in total, over $7,000 in income for the sale. That was not our income. And if you didn't get a chance to see the show, there's some videos that I posted on our Facebook group that give you an idea of the venue and the scope of our show. And then also all of the paintings are displayed on our website. So you can see all of them there. And I'd like to thank Barbara Benedetti Newton for being our judge. She did a fabulous job, as well as Dana Butler and Richard Barrere, who were our co-chairs. It just went very smoothly, and it's over. So time to work on the next member show. So look forward to that.
Thanks, Megan. You know, as we go into 2023, and we'll share with you what we have in store for our calendar. This is a time of reflection for all of us, right? Time to reflect from last year, what worked, what didn't work, but just as individuals and artists in ourselves, you know, what really resonates, you know, with you? What do you really want to do this year? What's really truly meaningful? And then how can you make that happen? And as I looked at my own patterns and, you know, looking at last year, I personally am a note taker, and yeah, I write lots of lists. And it was interesting to go through some old notebooks and see how many times I wrote paint on a, you know, I just need to paint, paint more. And yet,
Amanda,
as we look,
Amanda, there's some kind of feedback. Could you mute everybody?
let's see. Is that better?
Yes.
There we go. So as we look into, you know, 2023, I'm sure that there are other people who simply just want to paint more too. And when I say paint more, it's not just painting for the next show or the next exhibition, but to really like enjoy painting more, right? Enjoy the joys of painting and get into the juicy part of creativity. And I have this this wall in my bathroom in my studio here with lots of quotes, you know, that inspire me. But one quote kind of stuck out. It says that art is a crushing chore, and yet an incredible privilege. And yet when you think about that, you know, the chore part evokes that it's not what we want, right? It's still work, that art is still work. And that we're trying to get somewhere that we're not there yet, right? Which is really just about our ego and our fear talking to us. And you know, and wanting to get better at something that we're not there yet. And yet the privilege part, and it kind of evokes how special it is to do art, right? You know, how soulful that activity is to our well-being and our self-care. And how thankful we all are to have the opportunity to be creative and to be artist. And you know, and to share those in creative endeavors with other people. So as we, you know, as we go into 2023, it's, you know, it's, I want to paint more, and I want to paint with more intention of having fun and not having it be such a chore, right? To play more. And then of course, as we think about art and, you know, as artists, we do this creative thing, you know, called art, mostly in the isolation of our own studios, right? Our homes or our basements. And yet, you know, we have to, you know, we have to have that feeling of connection with other people too. So, you know, that's where I believe that this, you know, community can really get together, is that we have our time where we need to do our own craft, master, you know, master our space in our own journey. And yet we want to be able to collaborate with others and share ideas and, you know, and connect more. So, you know, I'm not sure if this resonates with anyone else as, you know, goals for, you know, this coming year. But for me, you know, to have this, you know, kind of a longing of a creative community that could speak the same language, that can get excited about the same things, and, you know, be a support network to learn and share and grow with each other, is something that I personally want in my life. And I hope to nurture and cultivate in this group, you know, during my time here. And as I know, you know, with the natural rhythms of nature, organizations kind of ebb and flow, you know, and be kind of influential in people's lives, depending on the people or the mission, you know, or the theme of, or even just the times of, you know, of the times that we're living in. And so I, you know, I encourage us all to paint more, to find more play in our painting, and to be able to connect more here as a group, in a, you know, as a regional group. And so as we look at how we can do that, we have, you know, a couple things on the agenda right now for 2023. So let me just share my screen with you. Can everybody see this? Our general meeting agenda?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So for 2023, we are looking at how we can engage more online and how we can engage more, you know, in paint outs. And so our online engagement is really, you know, really trying to look at our website and our social media platforms, and how can we connect more in that area. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that when we talk about social media, we're really talking about Facebook and Instagram, and connecting more as a community there. And Denise is here to be able to talk about that a little bit, but I want to make sure that everybody understands that we actually have two Facebook pages, and one is public and one is private. And let me just bring up the one that is the private one that we want to be able to have everybody to everybody to look at. Okay, can everybody see this?
Mhm.
So this is our Northwest Pastel Society members Facebook page, and it is for members only. So you have to be invited, and it is a private site. But this is the site where we have engagements, and we want to have people, be able to chime in, to share ideas, to share tips, and to give challenges and prompts to each other. And Denise, if you're, I think you're unmuted. If you want to talk a little bit about our social media strategies, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, maybe as we talk about things, you can maneuver your screen a little bit.
Yeah.
I tried to just now delete the purple post there, but it's not unpinning. I'll figure it out. Oh, there it is. There we go. To the right of the purple is our guidelines and our mission statement. And it's new, and we hope everyone reads those and are inspired by them, because we want our Facebook page to be very positive, inviting, welcoming, for you to post your own work, to make positive comments about other people's work, to ask questions, to have some discussion, to support each other. And I'm really happy to say that more people are posting, and we could look more down on the thread or on the page, and you can see that people are posting now. Our friend in Eastern Washington, in Yakima, Darcy, challenged us to post collages of our favorite works in 2022, and so people have been doing that, and that's been really fun to see people's works and also individual posts. And I'm trying to comment on just about everybody's post, and if people would like to join me in positive comments to people, we would love that. And there is a question there, just if about how to ship unframed paintings there. We can all contribute to that question, an answer to that question. Some people might want to share their process in their paintings. I've already asked somebody, Trish, to explain how she worked on copper. And so we've had some interesting posts already, and I'm just really happy to hear and see that, and encourage everybody to continue to participate. And if you have any questions, please let me know now what your questions might be.
One of the things I want to point out here is that this is the forum where we can really share ideas and tips and ask questions. And it is a forum for discussion. And our public page, which is the Northwest Pastel Society public page, is one that's going to promote our shows, but it's not an area where we can share some of these more personal questions. And so we will have both up. But this is the one where we can really kind of have a lot more engagement.
Yes, and also this is for people that are up to date on their membership dues. And so there is a process where I have to double check that everybody has done that before I approve you into to join the group. But as soon as I know, I approve you, and I just approved, I think it was Deb Warren or Deborah Warren that just made a little chat comment. So it can be very quick as soon as I know that you are a paying member.
Great. Thank you, Janice. Denise is an admin at the Pastel Society of America for their social media.
Hello.
So she's bringing a
Hello.
lot of expertise too to that to our group.
It's 10:20.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm attending a meeting.
Oops. Let's see. Can you mute yourself, please? The other thing that we're doing is listening to people that they want interaction with others. And while we have a virtual platform to share, we also want to get together more. So February 18th is our first paint in Edmonds at the Artworks, and Sarah has been leading that effort. And Sarah, can you tell us a little bit more about some of those details?
It's okay. Lie down.
Yes, so can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, we have the painting organized now.
Stop.
Hope you can all come along. Artworks, if you don't know, is a large art studio. They do have some easels and tables and chairs if you need those. Otherwise, bring all your own things along. Our plan is in the morning, we're going to set up some collaborative, creative group exercises as a means to get to know each other. And then in the afternoon, we will have 1 or 2 clothed models. And then all day long, if those don't appeal to you, we will have some still life set up. And if you just want to come and paint, bring your own references, that's great too. We'll do a potluck lunch, so bring something to share with everybody. And the details will be posted very soon on the website, and you'll be getting mail about it. We will be asking you to let us know if you can come just to help with the planning. So hope to see you all there.
Thank you, Sarah. I think this is, we've talked about paint outs, but this is certainly a paint in, and the first time that we can all get together to paint. So let me share with you also what we have in store for the year. Okay. February 18th will be our first paint in, and we are renting the Artworks facility there, which is a great, workshop space in Edmonds. And then in March will be the deadline for our international show, which is actually online this year. And so make sure that you put that into your calendar for deadlines. April 29th will be our next general meeting. It will be online, and we will have the awards ceremony online with Liz, who will go through why she's decided to pick the winners. And so it's as close to having in person with the actual juror there online. And then Liz will actually be here in the Northwest teaching a workshop May 5th through the 7th. She'll be doing that here in Oregon in my studio. And for those, and excited to say that we have already filled up her workshop just with our membership alone. We were ready to advertise it in a Pastel Journal, and she was going to advertise it, in her networks too. And we didn't need to do that. We have filled her class, and we'll take a waiting list if people have to, change their plans. And for those people who couldn't get into her workshop, we're actually hosting a kind of meet and greet demo the night before with a wine tasting, so that if people still want to see, Liz and her process, there's still an opportunity to do that. And that would be on May 4th, the evening before the workshop starts. In June and July, we'd like to have another gathering, paint out and general meeting. We originally talked about doing that at the Seattle Botanical Gardens, but their Saturdays are actually almost all full. And so we're curious to hear from our membership whether having a meeting on a weekend is all that important, or whether you would look at a weekday, which might open up some opportunities for some facilities, and then even the times of day. So, we'd like to hear your feedback on that, either in the chat, or, letting us know now, and, or emailing us so that we can begin to plan for some kind of summer gathering. And right now we've looked at the Botanical Gardens, we've looked at Nisqually. They do have an educational center there that we can have a covered area for a meeting and then go out and paint. And if there are other areas and places that you know of, that could be a possible venue for us, please, let us know, and we can try to make, some of those arrangements. In September will be our next member show, and that's going to be in Yakima, Washington, at the Larson Gallery. And we were able to secure Tony from our last demo, when he did a demo for us, in our last meeting, to do a workshop. So he is on the schedule right now to do a 3-day workshop prior to the members show, and that registration should be up by the end of the month. We just need to get all the details from him so that we can begin to have that registration open. And so we're really excited to try and offer more than just one workshop with an instructor this year, but to try and offer 2 and coincide that with each of our shows, our member show and our international show. And so we're excited to, to offer that. In October, we'll have another general meeting with an online demo, and we're talking to a number of different instructors on who that might be. And then our signature show will be the last show of the year. And Kathy at Scott Milo Gallery has graciously offered that space to us again. She's been, just a great director there, and we've had a long time standing relationship with her in hosting, either a member show or certainly our signature shows. We still are in need of a show chair for that event, and so a lot of times the same people kind of step up to the plate. And if you're available and interested in sharing and doing chairing this show or co-chairing this show, please let us know, because we'll need to get that in the works soon. And then we'd like to have one last meeting at the end of the year. Whether we do that in person or online yet is still unknown, but this is sort of the flow for the year. The other news that we want to discuss is our membership, and then what we're doing on the website. So our membership right now continues to grow, which is nice. We're seeing constantly new members almost every week. So thank you for everyone who has joined as a new member and everyone who is renewed. But there's still a few members.
And it stopped and it says no paper. So where does the paper go in?
Oh, I think hang on, let me move that person. There's still a few members who have not actually renewed. And so we're going to need to have you renew as soon as possible. So starting February 1st, the members who have not renewed will no longer be receiving our emails that are sent to the members, and you may miss an opportunity for upcoming events, and you won't be included in the membership directory. And just a reminder too, that if you have retained, if you are a signature member, you need to be a member in good standing so that you don't, lose that status. And I think we have about 14 signature members that still need to renew. So a reminder there that if you haven't had a chance to renew, make sure you get that done by the end of the month here.
Amanda?
Yes.
Just giving you a time check, 10:30.
Okay.
And make sure the signature members that haven't renewed know that you can't renew next year and get your signature status back. You have to start over again.
Yeah. Okay. Did everybody hear that? So for those signature members who haven't renewed by the end of this month, you'll lose that status and you'll have to start over. So the last little update here for other news is changes on our website. You'll see as you go back to our website, we're trying to clean that up and trying to simplify. And Nancy's done just an incredible job of trying to attack that, little by little. And one of the pages that we're working on is the members gallery page, which is very outdated and very cumbersome to update. And so we are trying to simplify and look at best practices out there and realize that many other societies simply have a list of other of their members. And so we're going to take a look at that, and we're asking all members to send their website address, their URL, to our website contact us page, and that will go to Nancy, and she can update those pages easily. And the other thing we're going to be doing in the website is really looking at highlighting what who are our distinguished pastelists, who are our signature members, and then the rest of the members. And so it's not very clear on our website right now, what that means. So as we look at our members gallery, we'll be able to highlight our distinguished pastelists, and those are people that have been granted at least 3 of the top 3 awards at our international show to get our DP, or the Distinguished Pastelist Award. And then we will highlight all the signature members. And the definition of a signature member is, a member that's been in good standing, that has at least 3 accepted paintings in our international exhibitions. And for those 2 categories, we will have 1 image of those artists' work represented. And so that's, one of the benefits of trying to get to a signature or a DP status. One of the things that we really wanted to do today was to be able to share with you some thoughts from a few of our DP members, and we have 4 people here to join us in a discussion panel of their artistic journey. And so let me highlight those people. Let's see if I can get this. I have to view it in a gallery view here. So we have, I believe we have Ned Mueller here. And I'm just scrolling through to see where Ned might be.
Amanda, can I throw in a quick idea while you're searching?
Yeah.
When you were talking about venues for this year, do you think there would be interest in having a session of some kind, of a workshop at Meerkirk Gardens on Whidbey Island? It's the rhododendron place. It's on the island, so it's a bit of a pain to get to, but they have meeting space, and the roadies will be out into June. And Ellen actually is the kingpin there, who you've met. And so I could ask her, and my guess is they would probably be happy to do it.
Okay. Yeah, no, it's a great idea.
Would it be a 1 day, 2 day? I mean, what should I float?
Usually it's a 1 day.
Yeah, okay.
1 day, we'll have a general meeting and then paint out afterwards.
And would this be a weekday or a Saturday or a Sunday?
Well, I think this is where we'd love to get some information from the members, right? Usually we have our general meetings on a weekend, like on a Saturday. And if that's not necessary, then we can open it up to a weekday.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you like, I can check with Ellen. I just tried to call, but she's not there. But we can check that out. I can check it out if you wish.
That would be super.
Great. Okay.
Okay. So we have We have Ned. I'm going to pin him here. Hi, Ned. Nice to see you. I'm going to just bring all of our panelists up right now. I'm just going to go through each one of these so that you can kind of see them. We have Barbara Benedetti Newton.
Excuse me, Amanda, how do we see them?
Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to mute everyone because we're going to go through a discussion panel here.
Okay, so everybody should please mute yourself. See that there should be a little red microphone that you can click on, or on your toolbar, it should say mute. So please keep yourself muted, because with this many people, the background noise is very, very distracting, and we want to be able to hear our DPs talking.
Okay,
Thank you.
I have a question though. Amanda, you said you're pinning people, but I don't see the pins that you're
Yeah, it
mentioning.
hasn't happened.
so I have pinned our four panelists right now. So if you go under, I believe, the speaker view, there'll be 4 people that are highlighted.
Amanda, you might want to use the other one, not the pinning.
Spotlight.
The spotlight.
Okay, yes, thank you. Okay. Bear with me, guys. Spotlight. We getting 3. Let's see, I still need
It's
Judith,
working.
It's working now?
We've got Ned, Janice, and Judith.
Okay, so I just need Barbara. And where is Barbara on the screen here? Still looking for her, just a second. There we go, thank you. Okay. Okay, great, thank you. You have to be your own, IT person in the background here. So I want to introduce Ned and have a visual there, Janice Wall, Judith, as well as Barbara. And all of you may not know all of their work. And so I want to be able to showcase everybody's work here. And I have to preface by some of these introductions by saying each one of these artists has a very long list of accolades and accomplishments, and I'm going to make it brief so I'm skipping most of their pedigree to introduce them as just fellow artists who are on their own creative journey, at this moment. So this is Ned Mueller's work. Ned's been a member since 1991. 32 years, and received his DP in 1995. He is a very accomplished and highly respected artist and has been drawing and painting for over 75 years. He was designated as the master artist with both the Oil Painters of America and the American Impressionist Society. And he was a graduate of the Art Center School of Design down in LA, and has just had a very long, successful history as a professional artist. He's had 3 exhibitions at the Fry Art Museum in Seattle and is shown in some of the finest galleries across the country, and has won just numerous awards and included in many of the private fine art collections. He is a signature member of so many societies that I won't go through the list. But I thought it was interesting that he actually worked with a concept artist in Walt Disney Imagineering, and he's also taught workshops for Disney artists. So he continues to challenge himself and grow artistically. He primarily paints right now in oils, but has certainly mastered the pastel medium and, has such a long list of accomplishments. So that was Ned's work. This is Barbara Benedetti Newton's work. And Barbara also joined in 1991, 32 years ago, and received her DP in 2011. And as you, most of you know, she was the most recent juror and judge for our members show. She studied at the Art Institute of Seattle in 1965, before it was the Art Institute, and started her art career as a fashion illustrator. And she originally took to colored pencils, where she was considered one of the masters in that medium, and has had a long career in both colored pencils and in pastels, and has published 2 books, on the subject. And is recently moved back to Vashon Island. Then we have Judith Smith. Judith Smith joined our society in 1996 and received her DP award in 2008. And she's been painting since the 1960s. Interesting that she has a graduate degree from arts as applied to medicine from the University of Toronto. And she began her professional life as an artist in 1965 as a medical artist for the Facility of Medicine in Montreal, Quebec. And she too was first an illustrator for medical residents, and has this strong interest in pairing art and science projects that led her then to printmaking. And as you look at some of her current work, she is really comfortable in mixing her medias and experimenting. And she sort of discovered pastels later in her art journey, and is also enjoying encaustic and other multi-mediums. But what I've found fascinating, even in some of her collage work, is that she's finishing her pastels with an acrylic varnish. So that might be interesting to hear about, if not in this session, another one. And then we have Janice Wall, a dear friend and kindred spirit of mine, who's also been painting for practically half a century as well. And she joined the Pastel Society in 2003. And she is the latest addition to this distinguished expert panel, our DP group. She was another graduate of the Art Institute. And after acquiring her BFA in interior design and art education, which then led her down a path of teaching art and doing art, she really, thought that she needed to paint with a brush to be taken seriously as an artist, and yet not really finding what she was seeking. And of course, we all know we don't need a brush to be taken seriously as artists, right? And of course, like many of us, when she found her love for drawing and pastels, like a whole new journey began. One of the things that she really gravitates to with her work is just being spontaneous and gestural, and she aims to capture the essence of a place versus the documentation of a place. And so when I start looking at all 3 of these distinguished pastelists, I have to say that each one of these artists is really comfortable in ambiguity and mystery, and letting the painting kind of guide them, versus the other way around. So, so this is a chance here for us to all to understand a little bit about, each one of these fine artists' journey. And so I have a few questions. And what I'd like to do is ask one question and have you all answer them. And if we have time at the end, we can open it up a discussion panel for people in the audience to ask questions as well. So the first question I have for this panel is, how long have you been a member of the Northwest Pastel Society, and tell us about your journey to get to be a distinguished pastelist. And maybe I'll just start with Ned, since you're one of the oldest members here in the group.
I look a lot older than I am. Yeah, I guess since 1991, that's over 30 years.
Mhm. Right.
Wow. But I haven't been able to be too active. I'm mostly, like you said, I've mostly been doing oils. I've done a few pastels. I want to get into it, but I'm a bit rusty, so I haven't been all thrilled with what I've done. But and I'm hoping to get more active with the group and, showing some shows. And I wish they would open some of the shows up where we didn't have to things be done in the last 3 years. That I think that's happening in the show this year. So, but yeah, and boy, I've always enjoyed it. Gosh, most of the members I don't know, so many have changed over the years. But it's been a great group. It's been active, and it's not easy keeping groups together. I guess I'm going on too much here by answering the question. But yeah, my hat's off to everybody that keeps this thing going.
Thanks, Ned.
Yeah.
Barbara, how about you?
I can't even remember the question.
Oh, how long have you been a member? How long have you been a member of the Northwest Pastel Society, which I sort of gave away, right? But to tell us about your journey to get to the Distinguished Pastelist status.
Oh, the Distinguished Pastel journey, yeah. Well, I went to art school, became a fashion illustrator, as you mentioned. Then I moved to Vashon and took a 20-year sabbatical from art. Didn't paint anything, just worked at K2 Skis and raised kids. And then I discovered colored pencil and did 10 years of colored pencil. And then I kept looking at pastel and thinking it looked so wonderful. And I thought that if I bought some pastel pencils, then it would be an easy transition from colored pencil to pastel. And they were so annoying. They were so really annoying to me. So then I started working with pastel sticks, and I took a workshop, and it was so terrible that I didn't do any more pastel for 5 years. And but then I started reading books and teaching myself and figuring out how I wanted to apply pastel, not what everyone else told me to do. For one thing, they told me to keep my fingers out of it, and I have a hard time with that. So I just painted a lot, and I entered a lot of shows, and I had a lot of galleries at that time. And as you mentioned earlier, the journey to a goal, an art goal, would be to paint.
Yeah. Thank you. How about Judith?
I can't remember the date you gave for me joining either. It was back in the early 90s.
Yeah, it was 91. You and Ned joined the same year.
He's older than I am. I'm sure of it. By maybe a year. I'm older than I look. I'm having a hard time remembering exactly when it started. I went through school, through my Master of Science in Art as Applied to Medicine. And that was my first professional situation as an artist. And I enjoyed that very much, but it was always very concise work. And I'm not really a concise person inside. So I had a chance when we moved out here West to go back to fine art. And I started actually with printmaking because I like a mixture of science and art. And I was doing printmaking for 20 years. Sick from it, I had to quit doing that. I took up neon sculpture because there was a course at Evergreen College that I could get in on. And I absolutely loved that. But you couldn't sell it. People are afraid that it's going to electrocute the children or you get it fixed if it breaks. So I thought, what can I do that would give me that thrill that neon was giving me? And I took a pastel workshop from a guy named Bill Herring from El Paso. And he said, why aren't you exhibiting nationally? And I said, I don't know. How do you do that? And I got into pastel with him and never looked back. I've done pastel off and on all these years and loved it. And I'm still doing it, even though I'm very interested in experimentation. Most of my work is now on canvas. It's larger. It's these pieces that you're seeing on the screen today are 30 by 40 inches. And they're still primarily pastel. And people don't believe that when they look at them, but they are. I use pastel with water to manipulate it on the surface of the canvas. I'm now doing collage integrated with that. And I'm sealing the whole thing with acrylic varnish, which is very tricky. And I can explain that some other time, some other place. But here I am still doing pastel, even though I'm pushing it in all directions. I use it in my encaustic work a lot because I take my pastels and scrape them into the beeswax, liquid beeswax, make my own colors, that kind of. So
Yeah.
I'm always experimenting.
Yeah, exciting. Yeah.
It is exciting still. And I'm an old lady and it's still exciting.
Jan, how about you?
I'm just breathing some very rare air here. These folks were all here just killing it when I arrived. And I remember watching, I mean, two of you are already DPs. And I remember watching Barbara with, it was, oh gosh, Elizabeth Mowry came to town and she was judging a show that I had worked on. And I just had to tear her away from Barbara's paintings because she wanted to give all of them awards, top awards, you know. I said, no, only one. That was the year she got her DP, and I got my very first top award. And it was thrilling then. So
Jan, I have to just interrupt for a minute.
Yeah.
Remember what you said to me after you got that award?
No, I don't. Maybe
not gaining on you.
Oh, I am. So, gosh, it was
Good
like
for you.
5 years later, I finally got my second one, and I thought, oh, maybe this is, doable. So here I am in 22 last year, and the painting behind me got me that award finally. But I think it's good to have goals like that, even if it's just something like that. It means a lot because we've been working on it for quite a long time. And when I was still painting with acrylics, probably about in 2000, one of our DP members, Clark Elster, was doing a demo down at Daniel Smith. Now, I didn't see him then, but my pal Jane Quigg did. And she convinced him to come to Vashon Island, teach a workshop, my very first. And I didn't have the right stuff. I had new pastels. I had crappy paper. And I did my first pastel and I was hooked. So I would tell Clark this later on and he'd say, oh, I'm to blame. And I'd say, yes, you are. And Jane gets the credit, you get the blame. I've never picked up acrylics since. It's been pastels all the way. I'm too impatient to paint with oils or anything that needs drying time. So occasionally some fluid media, but I've been experimenting, just really slashing those pastels around and laying them over. I love to use marker, permanent marker, and let it show even through the pastel. But I'm still pushing. I make myself goals. I think I'm on my way to being my best painter, but we'll see when that happens. I don't know.
Well, Jan, I think you touched a little bit on the journey to get to the DP status, and from the 1990s to certainly now, it seems like it is harder to get a DP status, right? Sometimes it takes a decade.
Well, there's a lot of competition out there.
Yeah.
It's growing.
I made a list a little while ago. I think there are about 6 people on the cusp right now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We'll be having some more soon, I think.
Well, I think the common thread here too is that all of you painted a lot, right? You just painted, you painted a lot and you experimented and you tried new things, and it wasn't the, you know, kind of the cookie cutter, this is a nice painting, but like, how are you pushing the edge? How are you, you know, how are you different? Where is your voice coming out? And some of those, you know, things are what differentiates an award winner, you know, a top award winner from, you know, from the rest of the crowd. And certainly, you know, showing the examples of their work was, you know, evident of that. You know, as all of you, you know, go through your art journey, what would you say is your biggest challenge that you faced as artists?
What order do you want to go in?
Oh, well, we'll start with you, Barbara. That's fine.
Okay, my biggest challenge is time. The business of art really takes a lot of time. And also I have a problem. Another challenge is I get bored with a medium. And so I switch mediums off and on, but mostly it's the time thing.
Time meaning not finding time to paint?
Yeah, the business of art takes so much time. I think well, I think that was a different panel, but I was on another panel with Barbara Noonan, and we had this discussion about the time it takes. The business of art takes more time than it does to paint, and it's a problem.
Can I add to that?
Sure, Ned.
Yeah, well, when I was coming up, getting established, this was back in the early 80s, there wasn't an internet and all that. I mean, you got recognized and you got good by getting good. The business of art wasn't that much of an issue. There were galleries and shows.
Yeah.
And the better you got, the more money you got, the more awards. So you could just concentrate on getting good. Now it's just the opposite. You know, you got to put your stuff out there on Facebook and all this stuff. And I'm lucky that I've already accomplished a whole lot. And, you know, just doing what I want to do and enjoy. You know, doing a little bit of the business part. But, you know, at our age, we shouldn't have to be doing that. You know, it should be. And the problem there is the money, you know. So, and I've always lived pretty frugally, and I'm happily married to this great Irish lady that doesn't spend much money. She's an artist. So, and I got to go to the VA, I get Social Security, do workshops here and there, and enter a few shows. And ideally, I think that at our age, we shouldn't have to deal with so much of that out, but it's usually financial. But if you got the financial, you know, what's the problem?
Yeah. What would you say is your biggest challenge, Ned? You face as an artist.
Oh gosh, before it was, just getting recognized. I was lucky. I went to one of the best art schools in the world, Art Center School of Design.
Yeah.
There were people there from all over the world that were really, really great. And the standards were high. And I guess there again was just trying to get into the better galleries and better shows. And not everybody needs that or wants that. But some of us do. We want we want to get better. We want to be recognized. And so that was it. I remember one of the best shows in the country was called the Artists of America in Denver. They had all the best artists from all over the country. And everybody wanted to be in it, including me. So I applied and got rejected. They'd have different judges or different. 15 years I applied and finally got in. And they asked me to do a demo, and the museum director bought my show. It was really nice. And then they had to show one more year, and then it quit. It just wasn't getting supported. So yeah, just the hardest part is just keeping going and, trying to reach some of those goals, which we never do. We're always improving. So, and it's a different world for the challenges us older ones have had are not the same as today. It's a different world.
Definitely.
Well, thanks for speaking to that, that feeling of just, you have to kind of stick with it and being tenacious and knowing your own worth, even if you find that you get rejected, year after year after year of something that you really want to, attain. Writers have the same, issue of wanting to be published and being rejected by, publishers before they finally get their first book out, for instance.
But the other thing is you have to work at getting good. I teach workshops for years, been teaching for over 65 years. It's a lot of people know what they want, but they don't want to do what they need. And that's to learn how to draw, which helps you in your design, and to develop those skills that you need to get good. Do you know and do you apply the principles and elements of design? A lot of people don't even know what those are. And if you do, your work's going to get better. It's as simple as that. And there's no secrets, like we've been saying. All you have to do is do a lot of it. You play a lot of tennis, you're going to get good. You cook cakes, you're going to get good. You do pastels a lot, you're going to get good at it.
Yes, that is true. There's nothing that substitutes just time at the easel, right? You have to put your mileage in.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Judith, your comments. What has been your biggest challenge that you faced as an artist?
Well, I think I agree with Ned, because I'm the same age group, and I remember the biggest challenge was getting around to different places and seeing different galleries and applying to them in person. And in those days, we also used to send packets of material where we would spend hours, making prints of our work and sending it out with a covering letter and all that stuff. It used to take a tremendous amount of time. And it was harder to reach people because no internet. Nowadays, you just, you can put something on the internet and it goes through Instagram and everybody sees it. And it's just a very different world. We used to have to do a lot of footwork, travel around, go to different places, and get into different galleries. And it was very important in those days, to me at least, to get into some out-of-state galleries. And I did that. I had 5 out-of-state galleries for a period of years from about 1994 to 2001. And then some of them went out of business. Some of the people died that were running the galleries. There were a lot of things that made me sort of pull in. And also financially, it was getting more and more expensive to do a lot of shipping and so forth. So I kind of narrowed myself down to just Childhood's End in Olympia. But recently I joined a co-op, which I never thought I would do. Here I am in there because I wanted to meet people in person. I don't like the internet. I'm very bad. I'm not in Instagram. I'm not on Facebook, partly because my husband has a fit about those things. So he doesn't want our network to be involved in them. But I like meeting people still face to face and meeting the people that buy it. And for years, never had a chance to do that because the galleries sell it. You don't know who buys it. And now I get a chance to meet the people that come into the gallery, and I get to help sell other people's work. And it's a lot of fun. I like that connection. But I was going to say something about getting better at your work. Being in this situation, I see a lot of people coming to this co-op gallery to ask for admission. And I'm appalled at their lack of understanding of how good they have to be in a proper gallery. It's not that you just can become an overnight success, particularly in pastel. It's a very difficult medium. People always say, oh, no, watercolor is the most difficult thing. I don't agree with that. I think pastel is very difficult. It's also very rewarding, as Jan has said. It's very rewarding once you get really good at it, but it takes tremendous amount of practice. But to sum up, my greatest challenge is that I'm suffering from macular degeneration. And I hate the idea of not being able to see my work really well anymore. And I'm facing that, but I did see an interview with Wolf Kahn that gave me a great deal of help. And he says he has the same thing. He's a little bit older than I am, but he has the same problem. And he told his interviewer that he thought this was bringing him into a situation where he's a better painter because he can't see the details so well. And I think as the next medical artist, this is the greatest gift I could be. So I'm doing much more abstract work now and enjoying it. So anyway, that's just my own journey.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that personal touch there. Yeah, how can you make lemonade out of lemons, right?
And I can add another thing here.
Ned, you wanted to add a comment there?
Yeah, it's the same, but getting old, I mean, things change. We get old and we, like Judith, we can have health issues and those can be difficult, but you know, the gift is we have our artwork. Like I've got chronic pain from nerve damage and I have to live with that. I've got a rare autoimmune disease that makes me highly susceptible to COVID, and I've had heart issues. So you have to deal with those things, but the great gift is our art.
Yeah, it is.
You know, that we have that, and I'm working in my art, I'm not thinking or worrying about all that other stuff. Sometimes it interrupts, you know, and creates problems because I can only work so much of a different size because other than that, and I suffer with too much pain. But the gift is our art, you know, and it's a great gift, you know, it helps us deal with a lot of other things. And boy, it's really well. I'm sorry to interrupt. I thought I should add that.
No, thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's a privilege, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a privilege.
We're lucky.
Jan, what is your greatest challenge that you face as an artist?
Yeah, I was just thinking about a group I was with. I was sort of like this, you know, a few years back, and people were going, well, what if we couldn't, you know, what if we couldn't do our art? And I'd say, well, if something happened to me, I'd find a way. You just got to want it that badly. And I think we're all here for that purpose. We're here to create. So all you guys who are much younger than the rest of us, don't worry about it. Just keep painting. The thing is, I agree with Barbara, it's the time. So you got to carve out time for yourself. And you have to, sometimes I have to separate myself from others because I'm not surrounded by artists all the time. In fact, very few. And maybe, well, Barbara's back on the island, but I just lost my best painting pal on the island. And there really isn't anybody else but you, Barbara, now painting in pastel, which I think is particular to what I'm doing. There are a lot of great artists here, but within my immediate group, it's like if I go on vacation or I go on a trip with some friends and nobody else is painting, I don't get to paint either. Otherwise, they're off in the distance and going, what happened to Jan? You know, and I'm going, wait for me. And so even dragging my sketchbook around sometimes doesn't get opened. And I get kind of angry about that. So what I need is more support and time painting with other people who feel like I do. That this painting is really, it's not only fun and being together is fun, but the painting part is really important. And I need to paint a lot. I don't improve if I go 3 weeks without painting and then come back. I'm just still stuck where I was when I left. So it's, yeah, time's a big factor. Plus, we old folks aren't, we're, you know, you don't know how much time we got, right, Judith? Oh,
Well,
man.
I
you
don't-
do,
I-
you bring
I
up a
don't-
great, go ahead, Dad.
I don't buy any green bananas anymore.
I don't
Well-
even buy bananas.
You all bring up a point about painting a lot. Oops.
Yep.
And it reminds me of a quote that I have in my studio that I just would love to share with the whole group here, which is a quote by Ira Glass, and I share this in my own classes. Because it does talk about wanting to be better, right? You know, we want to be better painters, and we want to paint, and yeah, we need to find the time. And so this is how Ira Glass, who's obviously, you know, just an amazing writer, speaks to this. He says, nobody tells people who are just beginners, and I wish someone had told me. All of us who do creative work, we get into this because we have good taste, but there's this gap. For the first couple of years you make stuff, it's just not that good, right? It's trying to be good, it has potential, but it's not. But your taste, the thing that got you in the game, is still killer, right? And your taste is why your work disappoints you. A lot of people never get past this phase and they quit, or they don't really paint that much. Most of the people that I know who do interesting creative work went through years and years of this. We knew that our work doesn't have that special thing that we want it to have. And we all go through this. And if you're just starting out or you're still in this phase, you got to know it's normal. And the most important thing you can do is a lot of work. So put yourself on a deadline so that every week you finish a piece. And it's only, it is only by going through a volume of work that you can close that gap, and your work will be as good as your ambitions. And he goes on to say, and it took me longer to figure out this than anyone I've ever met. It's going to take a while, and it's normal to take a while. You just have to fight your way through it. Ira Glass.
Well, you gotta want it badly enough, I think. And
Yeah.
every now and then something really cool happens. It's not that it's just all terrible, you know,
Right.
until it finally gets better. But like anything, you have to practice.
Right.
Everybody's learn to use play an instrument, musical instrument. You know, you got to do all the crummy practice. You know, I hated that part.
I tell my students it's 4 P's. It's practice, perseverance, patience, and passion. 4 P's.
Ooh, I gotta
And
write
then,
that.
4 P's. Oh, could somebody please put that in the chat? I love that.
Practice, patience, perseverance,
And passion.
passion.
I got it for the notes too, Amanda.
Okay. Yeah.
And
And
a
it
good
is-
artist friend told me, you talked about it earlier, Amanda, and she called just doing art exquisite agony.
Yes. Oh, yes. The crushing chore and the privilege all in one emotion. Yeah.
I don't know. I like to have a lot more fun than that.
Amanda, 11:15.
Yes. Well, I have one more question for all of you. And that is, how do you continue to challenge yourself and grow in your artistic journey? And then what is your next creative goal? Anybody want to start that one off?
I'll start.
Okay.
I challenge myself by changing mediums. As an example, for the last 20 years or so, I've had hatred of acrylic. I thought that acrylic was something that you paint rocks with, and I hated it. But every once in a while, and I didn't see any work that I really loved that it was acrylic, but people kept using it. So every couple of years I try acrylic, and I hate it every couple of years, and then I go back to pastel. So every year in my work, you'll see one painting, usually every year, that's called Falling in Love Again. And that's when I fall in love with pastel again every year. And usually it's right after acrylic. But anyway, this year, or 2 years ago, I changed my attitude about acrylic. And instead of expecting it or wanting it to be different, I set up a workstation just for acrylic, and I gave it more respect. And I had a really wonderful time with acrylic. And so I changed my attitude, but I challenged myself by changing mediums. And then my next creative goal, I just discovered a new medium. It's called flash paint. Any of you distinguished pastelists, have you seen that? It's vinyl paint, and it dries matte, so it's like gouache, but more opaque. So anyway, I'm using flash paint now underneath pastel. I find the look between, well, the matte look, of course, is the same as pastel. So I mix up my mediums, and that's how I challenge myself, and that's what I'm continuing to do.
Great.
I think I do the same thing, Barbara, because I'm always looking for something different. Something that's going to make my work look different. And I've had a lot of fun with using acrylic and then pastel over top of it, because the acrylic never did what I wanted to say. And then I have to put acrylic varnish over that to hold it. And I've had a lot of fun doing that, pushing it. And one thing I wanted to mention before, and I don't have it in my hand here, but Bill McEnroe was a very, very close friend of mine for many years. We painted outside together, almost on a weekly basis. And he sent me a card one year with a picture of him, of an old horse that had the real sway back on it, that we had painted the same thing many, many years ago, this barn with this horse in it. And in the picture underneath, he wrote, "Sometimes I feel like this old spavined or spavined horse, the sway back." And then there's the next painting. And that's really how I feel. There's always got to be a next painting. And I never know what it's going to be, but it draws me back into the studio, no matter how much work I have in the house that I should be doing here. And this is where I come when I'm unhappy. And when I'm happy, I come back to my art.
Yeah, I was kind of the opposite. When I was younger, I was doing watercolor, gouache, pastel, oils, and acrylics, because I thought, I had this mind that that's what a good artist does. You can do everything and work in every medium. I finally woke, and I could get away with it mainly because I could draw well, and that covered up a lot of sin. And I woke up one morning and said, nobody else is doing this. And so I dropped a few of them. And once in a while I do them, but I concentrated on mainly then pastels and oils, because they're very similar. It's for me working, the same way. And so I was kind of the opposite. Now I'm finding, and I would challenge myself more with the subject matter, doing different subjects, not so much different meaning. But now I'm even want to do more pastels, and that's kind of a challenge as it is, because I'm rusty and looking for things like that. But I'm not much to experimenting with mixed media and stuff, and I've done a little, but Karen is here and she does a lot of stuff, so I get inspired by her because she's being more creative than I am. So yeah, anyways, I thought I'd throw that in.
And what is your next creative goal, Ned?
Oh, let's see, to live till next week. Be
Idea.
around. Kind of that way, you know, I just going from day to day and, you know, just having fun painting, drawing and painting. I love to do it, and just, you know, just trying to do my next goal is just trying to do a better picture.
Yeah.
You know, and then when you reach a certain state, when you're starting out, you kind of grow in big leaps. You got a lot to learn. And then as you develop and get better, the leaps get a little shorter and smaller. So I think it kind of works that way too. You know, otherwise we change totally a different medium and different style. And yeah, so there's all sorts of avenues, and everybody's different. As you're finding out, you know, the four of us are pretty different.
Jan.
I just try to keep pushing my own envelope, I think. I usually fall in love with the last thing I've done. And so then or not, you know, a successful piece. Like my favorites right now are the two I had on our member show. So my next goal then is to do something I love even better than that. And I'm my worst critic, so, or best maybe. So it's hard to get there, but I won't put anything in a frame that I don't really feel good about. So I'm always looking for, like you, Ned, the next painting that I do that really, you know, excites me. And I'm, as I said, pushing the envelope more. I love to scribble. And I got tired of coloring inside the lines when I was a kid. So now I'm really splashing it around, and I'm using those markers a lot. I'm scribbling and leaving a lot of it showing through the pastel. And I'll probably work toward the next show. That's also kind of the carrot, you know, see if I can get into a, you know, IAP show, see if I can get an award, see if I can, you know, whatever. And it's kind of reaffirming to get an award or to make a sale or something like that. I've stopped taking a lot of workshops. I think I do have my eye on one, so it's a little bit of a goal, and I may have to travel to take it. So I'll see if I can get it.
Yeah, I think it's good to keep entering shows.
Sure.
You know, like Janice says, it's a carrot on the stick. It gives us something to work for, you know, and try to get in the shows. You know, sometimes it takes a little bit longer, but yeah, and I was kind of surprised the New Mexico Pastel Society asked me to be a juror this year, so I haven't done that. Of course, I haven't been getting pastels out there, but I think that's a pretty good show, and I'd encourage somebody to consider entering it. You know, and the problem is now, you know, is like, you know, framing it up and packing it up and sending it off, you know, and boy, the prices of doing that have doubled, I think. So that it's not much of an incentive, but and now that COVID is kind of gearing down a little bit, maybe stuff will loosen up a little more.
Well, this has been incredibly inspirational to listen to the four of you share some of your journey, what your challenges, you know, how you continue to challenge yourself. And I want to open it up to the group to ask a question or to put it in the chat that I can ask you while we have still, you know, about 10 minutes left for other people to ask questions.
jump in?
Sure.
It's Robin.
Robin.
My mother did a lot of pottery, and she did a bunch of pottery to sell, and she did a bunch of pottery for mum, for herself. And that was the wild stuff. I'd like to ask you guys, how much of this are you doing for external approval, or whatever you want to call it, and how much is it just for yourself?
I can answer for me.
Great question.
Most of it for myself. I don't worry too much about the public acceptance anymore. I did for a long time, back when I was doing pure pastel for years. I worried about it because so often my imagery did not fit in with what people felt was traditional pastel work. So there was a problem with that for me. And so I worked very hard to make things that I knew the public would like, or I knew would be prizeworthy. And then I stopped worrying about it. I don't know, about 20 years ago, I stopped worrying about all of that and just started to do what I wanted to do. And, maybe it'll all be burned when I die. I don't know, maybe it'll live after me. I've still had pretty good sales. But as I said, I don't seek after Instagram and things like that. So I'm not really a big seller anymore, but I don't care. I'm really doing stuff that I think is important. And the 3 pieces that Amanda had up today were part of my Winds of War series. I'm very affected by things that go on around me and around the world, and that's what's in my work. And I just don't care what people think about it anymore. I'm too old now. I'll be 82 this year. And I just decided that this is my time of life not to give a damn what anybody thinks. I'm just going to do what my heart tells me to do as long as I can. So maybe that.
Yeah,
helps.
I totally agree with that. And the thing I think the addendum needs to be, people want to be like that. They're okay, but can you afford to be that way? Are you still able to pay your bills, at the same time? You may not be selling much. I remember one main show I was in, 35 of the best artists in the country, and we would vote on the best paintings, and we kind of knew each other, what everybody could do. And invariably, the 5 best paintings we picked were more different, more creative, and really great art. And invariably, those 5 paintings would never sell.
Mhm.
So we could, like Janice touched on it, you can do all that, but maybe your sales are going to be. But if you do, still have to, earn money, you may have to do things that are sellable. And as an illustrator, commercial artist, there's always having to do that. You had to meet a deadline, you had to please the art director. So I think that was good when I get into fine arts, because I was pretty aware and sensitive what I could do that would sell. And then I'd still do paintings, portraits, whatever, for myself. And now I can just do things for myself too. But I also, I don't have to worry about the money. So
Yeah.
I think, you can be as creative as maybe as far as your pants are falling down.
Well, it depends on what kind of a lifestyle you want.
Well,
That's true.
that enters into it, but we still have to live.
Well, I did too for a long time. As I was doing my medical illustration, I had to be exactly what they wanted me to be for a long time. And I kept that up when I started my pastel journey. And I did that for a number of years and made some good money. But as I got older, things got better in my life, and I didn't have to make so much money. And that I'm lucky in that. And not everybody has that good fortune. So yeah, you're right. You have to live a double life.
Yeah,
You really-
and I'm only saying that for younger painters. Say, oh yeah, that's neat. I can just sit down and do my thing. And I remember when I started art school, it was
after you're 70, you can do your own thing.
Yeah. When I started art school, where we started with kids that had majored in art in all the major universities, Stanford, Texas, Michigan.
Yeah.
And they all just did their thing, which was nice, but they didn't teach them any skills, and they all had to start over again.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not just black and white.
No, you need a day job, but for at least the first half of your career.
Yeah, yeah, and it's like, I think it was Janice said, it takes years, you know. It's not just a short time thing, you know. You have to think in quantum years by how good am I going to be in 10 years. And that's not easy, because it's not easy making a living, and you know, everything is pretty, particularly in this area, Seattle area, it is expensive.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Judith,
Yeah.
I know that many people are probably thinking this, but I'm just going to throw it out there that would you consider doing a demo for us at one meeting with your process, or even consider a small workshop for half a day? Just think about it.
I'll think about
It sounds really, really cool. And I'm sure a lot of people are thinking, I kind of want to see that. So.
Yeah, well, it's not a perfected process yet. That's still a process that I'm working on. But yeah, I have some paintings that I could show at some point if you want me to. Yeah.
I'd like to see it, how you're doing canvas with pastel. I had a friend that did that too. He would layer varnish and pastel, but I never watched his process. And a lot of it dulled it way down. So I would love to see how you do it.
Yeah, some products, others, but you lose something because pastel, you know, each little pastel fleck is faceted, and you lose that light that bounces off those tiny facets.
Right.
Yeah, you do, but I kind of work around that with some other things, but I'm using it in mixed media. So I have one. I did send one painting to Amanda, which was all pastel and water, you know, to make it look more like a painting or fluid. And then when I sealed it with acrylic, it was abstract enough that it didn't matter that I was losing some of the brilliance. And sometimes I'll go over a certain orange or something. I'll do it 2 or 3 times and then keep varnishing each time, and it gets a little brighter. So,
with the canvas, are you putting a ground on it? Or is it a real fine canvas?
No, it's gesso canvas. I gesso.
Well, I think there were a number of comments in the chat of wanting you to explain the varnishing finishing process on, you know, on pastel, since most people do put pastels under glass. And we'll follow up with you about maybe another online demo or even an in-person demo if you're open to that.
If I'm still, yeah.
I wanted to circle back though with Barbara and Jan to see if they had any comments to Robin's prompt about you know, making work for the public and then making a kind of a separate body of work just for you, and you know, and speaking to you know, to making money, you know, as a professional artist. And Barbara, you certainly talked about the challenges of time, right? Of how much time it takes to manage the business piece, you know, versus just doing our craft.
Yes. For all the time that I've been painting, I'm torn between selling and something that I've seen in my work for the last 25 years. Every once in a while, I do a piece that I really love and it ends up in my collection. And usually it's a small piece that I have, like, I just start as an experiment, but those are the pieces that I want to see over and over through the years. And so when I look at my whole body of work, I can see all the paintings that I've made that sold, that went to galleries, sold, won awards, blah, 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 blah. But then there are all these other little moments of paintings that I have kept in my private collection. And now that's the way I want to paint now all the time. And I can and when you verbalize on that, those were the little paintings that I was painting as an experiment or just for myself. So I do agree that if you want to eat some way or another, you have to have a day job or live with someone who has a day job. And when you get to a certain age, hopefully you'll be able to paint just for yourself. So I paint for myself now, and I am on Instagram. I have a nice following, and when I put out a painting that I paint for myself, a bunch of people quit following me. And then a bunch of new people do follow me because of that piece. And then if I would publish one of my more, I don't know what you call it, mainstream paintings, then a whole bunch of other people quit following me and other people start following me. So I guess the moral of this is you can't take your Instagram following seriously. Paint for yourself, and just paint for yourself. If you have a way to eat.
Yeah.
Well, I can relate to Robin's mother's experience. I mean, we've all had periods of time when we just had to crank out work because we were going to be in a street fair or something, and we're going to make a few $100, and that was rent, and that was whatever. So we did that. That was the job, or maybe we had a real job, but really a lot of fun, more fun anyway, painting or making pottery to sell than, punching a clock. But still, it was work. That it becomes work when you're just making it to sell it. And that's not the kind of work I want to be doing now. I want to do work that makes me a better painter, and I want to do work that really sings to my soul, if you will. I want to really do something valuable. Whether it sells or not is secondary. When they do sell, it's wonderful. But I have a lot of paintings here that have won top awards, and they're just right here. Maybe I'm not ready to let go of them. I don't know, or maybe the right person hasn't seen them yet. But I figure every time I paint a painting that really pleases me, it's going to please somebody else. So don't worry about that part. You'll paint better if you paint for you. Otherwise, it's just work.
Yeah, if you're not enjoying it, it's going to show in your work.
Oh yeah,
It'll show.
yes.
I mean, to me, it's Robin. I really appreciate your comments. I mean, in a sense, to me, it's like saying you should have the courage of your convictions.
Absolutely.
It takes courage to push the envelopes like you guys are doing.
Under the thing.
Yeah, it just takes courage to be an artist.
Yeah, for sure.
It under the towel between it.
Well, we've all had other jobs too. I mean, teaching teenagers to do art is a, it's almost disabling. I don't have any strength after that to go paint for myself, but a lot of us have been teachers or graphic designers or other illustrators and so on, other art jobs, but it still isn't the same.
No.
Yeah. The other thing I think we're dealing with is just the simple fact they don't teach it in schools anymore.
No.
I think there's only 3 states that require art and music. And so, I mean, when it was mandatory to take something like that in school, art or art appreciation, and the collectors, when I was starting out, and there were good collectors, knew about, but they studied, they got it in school. How do we expect people to appreciate art if they're not even understanding it in school?
That's a good point, Ned. I never thought about that.
Yeah, and the other thing is, I remember they asked me to do a how-to book years ago, because I did articles for the art magazines. And I suspected it. I asked the art director, was Northlight Book, is it true that the bad art books sell better than the good ones? And she said, yeah, because people can identify with the bad work.
Mhm.
And that applies to, I think, to buying in galleries now. People,
Absolutely, yes.
there's some really bad art selling. I mean,
Everybody
I've gone around and see it in some good galleries. The bad art selling better than the good art.
Yes.
That's not a good situation. Just for the others that are trying to, become a good artist.
So Ned, what is bad art?
I think you find out, people say, but I think there's a quality to good art. And the
Yeah.
quality gets, I even know people doing abstract art. And they have good skills. I mean, even though they're turned to abstract, they have fairly good drawing skills. They've worked at it. And I think too, maybe it's just because I've been around, because when I was younger, the art I appreciated, like most people, I thought the more it looked like a photograph, the better it was. And a lot of collectors still think that. Good art has to look like a photograph. Obviously not, but I think just that you're asking that question, makes me wonder. But the other thing is, people say, well, I know what I like. And that's probably the problem. I knew a collector came up and asked me, he'd spent $35,000 on a painting. And he says, Ned, I've got this collection. I bought this stuff 10 years ago, and I just don't like it anymore. And I says, listen, that's a good thing. It means you're grown. If we're liking the same things 10 years from now we like now, we haven't grown much. So I think I don't know if I can explain it any better than that. Can anybody else?
I'd like to put something in here. When you asked what is bad art, what comes to mind for me is labored mark making, labored brush strokes.
Yeah.
And of course, composition, blah, 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 all that other stuff. But especially in pastel, and especially after I, just judged a show. In pastel, labored mark making, it makes me want to talk to that artist, work with that artist.
Yeah.
So I have a comment on that. I'm not part of your panel, but Robin, think of paint night. Think of the how to draw a horse book. That would probably be my definition of bad art. And when people say, I know what I like, the average person.
I think the words bad and art shouldn't be put.
That's why I asked the question.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. I disagree. There is some really bad.
Oh, yeah.
art
I know what you mean.
out there. I don't, I understand what you're saying. So yeah, one man's drink is another man's poison.
I would like to see more art education. I know we've talked about it in the schools, but I'd like to see it in the galleries as well. I've gone into some galleries around the country in disguise. In other words, not as an artist, and have talked to the gallery managers or whoever's, pitching the art, about paintings. And I'm finding that it's real. In my mind, it's the gallery owner's business to educate the public, not to just be there to sell art, but to educate the public, because people don't know what to look for. and they're afraid of anything that they might like that's different. They feel that, you know, when they take it home and put it on their wall, their friends are going to judge them, you know, is that any good? And so what they end up doing is going out and buying a Monet print, you know, for $100 or something, and then spending about $400 framing the darn thing. And that just tears me up when I walk into somebody's house and I see a poster when they could have had, for the same price, a piece of original art that somebody had put their heart into and made good and had been practicing for years to get that to it. So I'm looking for art education any way, which way we can get it to the public.
Yeah. And I think the other problem is too many galleries, you know, having 60, 70 artists in their gallery, all competing against each other. A good gallery has maybe 15, 20 artists as their stable. And they're hard to get into. The gallery won't take somebody else that paints similar to somebody else or the same subject matter. But how many galleries out there are like that? Not very many.
Well, the art business is so hard to be in from a gallery's point of view as well. And my husband always says that the second worst business to be in is the art business, the first being the restaurant business.
Probably the worst of being a poet.
Worst owning a restaurant? I don't know.
Well, I have to circle back to, you know, even what Barbara was saying, because I wanted to make a comment that these belabored marks in paintings that, you know, look kind of tired and actually not very confident is something that I've seen. Everyone here, right, has that spontaneous, fresh, you know, confident mark making. And it's very inspirational for the rest of us to see, you know, these just wonderful, spontaneous, very, very confident strokes that distinguish, you know, those really special pieces. And many times it's when you're not thinking about a customer, right? You're just doing work for yourself, and you're in that playful, juicy zone, right, of just creating art for you. And that's when, like, it all starts to flow. And you know, I want us all to get there in our own journey, you know, as we go into this year, is finding those moments that aren't belabored, right, that aren't a chore, right, that aren't crushing, but that are, you know, like uplifting and fun and playful, and we're doing art for us and growing, right, and challenging ourselves. So thank you for being part of this panel today. I know we've gone over, and I want to make sure that that if anybody has you know, other questions, that they can put them in the chat, and we can circle back with the group. So before we end this meeting, I know that we have a door prize for anyone who's still here. And I believe that Megan has a list of all of the participants.
It's actually me, Amanda.
Okay, or Sarah, between the two of you, I wasn't sure who it was, but our door prize today is a set of Sennelier 12-stick set from Sennelier. It's an introductory color set, direct from France, and donated by Dana Butler, who is a member, and she hand carried this set back. It's valued at $45, and we can send that out to our lucky winner. So if we could get a drawing here of a door prize.
Okay. Here's the that's one, and the lucky winner is Janine Cooley.
Janine Cooley, awesome. Well, and since Sarah has her address, we'll make sure that we get that out to her. I want to thank everyone here for spending a rainy Saturday, January day to join us on our first meeting. And I hope that the panel discussion was inspirational for everyone, and that you can set your own challenges and intentions for the year and commit to the one thing that you want to do this year in your art. And we look forward to seeing you at our next in-person event in February. We're excited to meet in person and paint together, have some playful time together, and really connect.
There'll be a notice sent out on that.
Yes, we will send an email out about the details of that paint out in the coming weeks. Yes, we will.
Okay, thanks.
And if I could actually ask everybody to unmute themselves and just thank our panelist for joining us today. And I look forward to seeing everyone really next month.
Thank you all very much.
Everyone.
Thank you.
Great meeting.
Thank you for having us.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Waiting for the international show. Let's go.
Thank you very much. It was very inspiring, and I'm the new member. Really happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, welcome.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Hope we didn't
Thank you very
scare
much.
you away.